Alright, in this video I'm going to show you how to make an ancestry in Foundry for DC20. Now this is Foundry version 12 that I'm using, and the rule set is DC20 beta version 0.8. Okay, so currently the ancestries that come with DC20 are the 10 ones here. You find them in the Compendium pack, and there's the ancestries Compendium there. Inside the folder is each individual folder will have the title of the ancestry. They also keep it up the traits in default and expanded. Now, this isn't necessary, but it's handy, and I'll show you a little bit later why. Then the actual ancestry. So to create your own, it's an item, and I made the Cyborn, which was in a DC20 magazine, and I'll go over that one. But to create one yourself, it's always a good idea to organize yourself when you're creating an ancestry. Like, for example, I made the folder Cyborn, and I made my default traits and expanded traits that I'm going to have. You don't have to, again, but you'll find that it'll be a little bit easier down the road if you do. Now, before actually creating the ancestry, you create the traits. So when you create an item, just like you did my previous video, you actually want to choose feature this time, right? So, for example, this will be a big head feature. Sideboards have big heads. So here's my big head. I changed my icon. By the way, in my previous videos, I was using an add-on called Image Viewer. Little did I know that it was already built into the system. I don't even know what version it came out with when this was, because I didn't look at it. So right now, if these buttons here, if I click on them, let's actually go into the thing, click on them, you can see that the image has changed to be able to find it easier. Thank you for a viewer pointing it out. It's made my life easier, and I removed that add-on. So anyway, digressing. So this is I don't want to spend too much time trying to find a picture, so doesn't matter. But big head, there we go. There's a big head. So you put in your description, of course. You'll see that my own little description, very simple. Psionic hand, just put a little description. I even put a link to the actual spell. Now, important when you are doing links, you can drag and drop the actual spell or whatnot into the description to be able to link it. And you always want to do it from the Compendium side, because it links to whichever side. So if you're actually adding like burning hands, put it there. It puts the code in there, and then when you save it, it shows up in that spot right there. So, but you won't want to do that until they're in the Compendium, and we'll get to that in a little bit. You build your ancestry in the items folder. Once you put it in the Compendium, you create a Compendium for it, then you don't really edit it in there. Same thing if you're trying to edit an ancestry that is already in the Compendium, you're not going to be able to, right? The changes are just not, it's not going to let you. And good, really. So if you were going to change, let's say, all of Angelborn, for whatever reason, it's your house rules or whatnot, you want to grab the entire folder, put it in here, and then you should be able to edit the actual content in here, and then save it, and then you can, make your own Angelborn or whatnot. So where was I? Configuration, ancestry, feature type is all in here, right? Because there's many different types of features. We'll get into, we'll do the class afterwards. Subclasses haven't been released yet, but if you were going to homebrew subclasses, backgrounds, monster features, a bunch of, So right now, this one obviously is an ancestry feature, and I put the feature origin here. This is only a flag for trying to be able to find these features a little bit easier. And then, of course, these are make it a reaction weapon attack. These are you've seen this many times, if that special feature is a special attack. Like, for example, I think Beastborn has got, an extra attack in there. This you would have be able to do the uses. We've already gone over this before. I won't go into it again. And in the advanced tab, this is where the effects would be. Like psionic hand doesn't really have anything. It doesn't do anything. But there are other ones I put in here, like, for example, psychic resistance. And I created psychic resistance. This is where you would change your feature. I added the system damage reduction damage types psychic resistance override to be true. Now, where do I find all this stuff? I did say in the previous video where you can go into your JSON file of your actual character to find where that information is. For example, if you export the data, and then you save the file, and then you open up the file, you'll see that it has all the attributes there. I also made a little text, a simple little text file that kind of has all the ones that you would normally use. I don't think I can attach that to the description of this web page or this YouTube video. And if I copy paste it, I might be too long to put in the description. I'll try them. After the fact, I'll try to see if I can put it in there for you guys to help. Other things, of course, you can do is look at how other spells or ancestries have done their things, right? So, for example, radiant resistance. So, for Angelborn, how was it coded in here? In the effects, damage reduction, damage types, radiant resistance override true. You can see where I found this from, right? So I just changed that to radiant to psychic, and it works as intended. So you create your, get back into what I was doing here. You create your features that you want, your individual features for the ancestry. Again, I put it now in default in expanded. It makes my life easier for when I actually create the ancestry itself. So this one too, if you create, it'll be an actual ancestry. So if you're creating an actual ancestry, you do it this way. It's goblin. Here's a cool looking, sure, my goblin's got a big mouth. Why not? I created my goblin. You see that it looks different than what your traits are, right? Your traits have your description, configuration, role, and advanced. The actual ancestry has description, and then here I've put in the default traits and the expanded traits. You'll see that in the other ones that are already in the system. You'll see that Angelborn, it's got a bit of bigger description than I put in, but also has default traits and expanded traits. So for the configuration, it's a medium creature, ground speed 5. Now, I'll get into this one a little bit later. You'll see that in the ancestries for things like halfling or gnome or whatnot, you'll see that the halfling puts it as medium. That's because later on they change it. I don't know. I guess this is the quick and dirty way of doing it, that you can just change it there. But then halfling has a small size feature that in the active effect, it will say system size override small. So why that was done is it's just a little bit cleaner code, because you add the small size part into the halfling's advancements. So, which we're about to get to. So that's why it's in here, and it has to be in here, and so that's how it overrides it. Anyway, going back to this. So advancements, this is how you create when it pops up, when you grab the ancestry and put it on your character sheet, it'll come up with a very nice little window where you get to, it has the defaults, and then where you change your defaults if you want. Now, requires choice and so on. You'll see that all the ancestries that had already been done in here, it's set up that way. These are the Angelborn traits is the advancement name. I called it Cyborn traits. Requires choice and so on. Turn on number of choice points, 5. Right now that is the default for a level 1 character. And then to get them into here, you actually just drag and drop them. So for example, I made big head. So I will move big head into here, and there puts it in. This column is for how many points it's going to take. It is not your individual traits. You don't put the cost in here. Anywhere in here do you put the cost. It's when you add it to the ancestry, the actual ancestry in the advancements here is where you change what the cost is. And you can put any number in there, right? 1, 2, heck, if you want to go 3 or -2 or whatever you want to do. Of course, that's not, there's no ancestries right now that, you know, have anything higher than a 2 or lower than -1, but this is your own ancestry. You can do what you want. So this here is the column where it shows you what the default ones are. So for the players that, you know, don't want to spend too much time picking which trait they want for their ancestry, these are the ones that you check on. That's also why I kept it, you know, it's nice and handy that the default traits are there and the expanded traits are here. If you have to take it, in other words, you know, the level 0 or the 0 cost flavor feature, so to speak, that's where you put that check mark in there. So you'll also see, for example, in the Beastborn, when you go into this area, you'll see that Beastkind is the only one that's picked and that you have to, and everything else is left blank because there is no default for Beastborn. You create it. And that's mostly it. I mean, it's fairly simple. They made it very, very simple to actually make your own ancestry, which is nice. Now you're thinking, you know, hey, can I make a, you know, dual ancestry? Because, you know, right now, the way to make a dual ancestry in your character is just actually grabbing the individual traits that you want onto your character and then kind of do the math yourself. So you can create a dual, but the only issue that, because I try to do it myself, the only issue that I had with it is that there's no way to show which of the features come from which ancestry. So if you add all the answers, it'll just be one giant list, which can be not really handy when you're trying to, you know, pick features for an ancestry. And then you could, like, even though if as dual, you still get 5 points if it's dual. But if you spend more than, if you get traits from more than one ancestry, your number of choice points go down to 4. So there's no real way to, you know, currently to track, hey, how many ancestries did I just pull from? And it's hard for you to look if you just create it all in one list. All right, so the last thing I'm going to show you about this is that now that you've created your ancestry, my Cyborn and all that kind of so on, you don't want to just keep it in items. You will want to put it in a compendium, right? So I made a compendium called Psionics. And before you start linking things, you will want to move the default traits and the expanded traits into the compendium first. The reason is because the links are currently going to these individual ones, right? So currently, these psychic traits, for example, let me go in here and add that big head, okay? And it's going to cost 0. And I'm going to save that advancement. Now, if I move the items into the Psionics one, this, can I add a separate one? All right, so now let's say I'm going to move this big head into an expanded traits. Oh, I have to unlock it first. Thank you, computer, for letting me know that. Psionics. Toggle edit lock. Yes. So now if I move the big head into the expanded traits and remove it from here. And also when I'm going to edit this one so I don't confuse myself, the name, because this is my actual compendium that I currently use, so I don't want to mess that up too bad. So here's my Cyborn 2. So, and I'll put it in the actual Cyborn folder. So this one, currently links to the big head part, but it thinks the big head is in the items folder, and I have now moved it in the compendium. So now when I actually create a Cyborn character, Professor X, and I want to go into my psionics, and it's going to be a Cyborn 2 ancestry, pops up here, and let's say I will add the big head. I get some errors because it doesn't understand, cannot find saved items, and so on, so it doesn't know where it is. So that means you move the traits in here first, and then, for example, I will delete this one now because we know that one doesn't work. So now when I go into my Cyborn 2 into here, I'll remove the corrupted one that I have, and I will instead grab it from where in the compendium that I have it. So big head, make it 0, save advancement, and now I will move that new, what do I do here? Did I screw that up? I'll do it again, because since I don't know if I screwed it up or not. So let's try this again. Expanded in here, make it 0. So I pulled the trait from the compendium that I have, and now I move the, close it. So now I move the new one that I created in here. I'll actually put it in the folder. So now with Professor X, well, I need to delete the old one here because it was corrupted. So now when I add it into the ancestry and pick big head and apply advancement, it works. Same thing also, as I was talking about, remember the description of it, same type of thing. You want to put the traits into the compendium first before you add them into here, so it's actually linking to the skills that are in the compendium. Now, if you want to share this, if you want to make this for multiple DC20 games that you're going to run, like let's say you've created your own Goblin race or done what I did with this Cyborn and so on, you don't want to have to recreate this every single time. That's annoying. You definitely don't want to do that. I would highly suggest you creating a module, and then like I did, and put it into a module. Now, how to do that, I'll actually link a good video on how to create your own modules, and I'll put that in the description because I find it very, very handy to create your modules. And then once you've created the custom items or custom ancestries or classes, which I'll do in another video, that you can keep it. So for example, I now have the psionics add-on. That's what I kept my Cyborn and Psionicist in, and that way you can share it amongst all of your own DC20 games. All right, thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next time.